Brian, very nice to meet you. I'm told that you are a wedding vow writer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you don't just write wedding vows, you write any speech that would be a part of a wedding ceremony. Is that correct?
Speeches, the wedding ceremony itself, if you have a friend or a family member doing it, all the written parts of the wedding that have been largely neglected from professional guidance.
I mean, first of all, this sounds like a job that's much in demand. But second, how did you create this gig? Where did the idea come from?
Well, it's actually got a connection to you, slightly adjacent. A guy named Doc Schweitzer, a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, recommended or introduced me to John Max, the writer, the TV writer.
Yep.
And Max, and I interviewed him during COVID. I, like many people, started a COVID podcast where I just started interviewing friends that had done something in their lives. Mm-hmm. And he started talking about his role as a ghostwriter. And I had officiated a few weddings and helped friends and family write speeches, because before this I was in politics. I was a political consultant.
Sure.
And
so you had written speeches before.
Correct. And so I got I was looking to get out of politics because politics sucks. And badly. And it was soul crushing.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. It was soul crushing, and I just, I felt a part of the problem, so I wanted to get out of it. And so I had this idea, and I started looking around, and there were people that wrote speeches, but there was nobody that was making a real business out of it. A couple of people that had been doing it at some level or another, but I went on. There was an app called Clubhouse at the time where all of the wedding people were congregating because they had nothing to do during COVID. And I went in there, and it's like an audio conference room where you raise your hand. I raised my hand, and I said, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And they loved it. And I made a site that day, and I put some stock photography up and put an ad out, and I got a client the next day. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So we explored that. My wife and I were in politics together, and now we're in this together. We went to a conference and started talking to people, and my wife Nicole was like, you've had a lot of cockamamie ideas before, but this isn't one of them. And so we figured it. We figured it out.
Sweetest thing she ever said to you.
Yeah,
you're a real idiot, but I think you accidentally hit something.
I'm more about quantity, All
right, well, Brian, I think about speeches a lot. I watch other people's speeches. I take them really seriously. Let's discuss our do's and don'ts. My first thing I would say is, and I just want to know if you agree, that the biggest mistake people make is they go on too long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what do you think the longest speech? So I talk to wedding planners, and I ask them this question, like, what's the worst story you have? What's the longest speech or whatever it is? The record is 50 minutes. 50
for which speech? For like who at the wedding
is a father of this would be a father of the bride speech. Like,
yeah,
all of the long ones are father.
No. That is.
Right.
I mean, it really depends on what it is, but I think that if you're saying some words at a wedding, I'm guessing you should really be thinking about 3 minutes or 4 tops.
3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
3 to 4 minutes is plenty to do justice. I mean, you're there to give a gift, right? You're there to honor the couple, both sides, right? Not just one of them, not just the person You're there, no matter what you feel, you're there to make people happy, and including them. And if you're going even look, you're in comedy. I'm a huge fan of comedy. 5 minutes is hard. Like doing a straight 5 minutes where you're funny, unless you're trained, it's hard. And I think people try to do 5 all day long without being funny or without having any instincts at all. And it just starts to drone. And so 20 minutes is wedding disrupting, and 40 minutes is like a wedding killer. I mean, that's what people are going to talk about.
So when people reach out, when people reach out to you, well, 50 minutes is a war crime, and everyone should be arrested.
For sure. Yeah.
And here's another thing too is, I think when people underestimate the value of sincerity, that if you're talking, it's a very important occasion, and this is the biggest day of these people's lives, and if you want to be funny, great, but also remember that it's a big thing that's happening. And people sometimes don't realize you can just be nice. and you can try and talk about the emotional power of the event without just trying to kill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it does. I mean, sincerity, as long as it works towards the mission, right? I mean, I've had clients where they don't like the person they're talking about.
I see. Yeah.
Like they have their best friend and they don't like who they're marrying. Or, I had one extreme case where a client who was marrying his third wife, the kids did not particularly like the third wife, and we had to work around. It was like, hey, what you must have something nice to say about them, and they're like, well, they're good at getting their nails done. And it was stuff like that. And so you have to work your way around that and make it fun for the audience at the same time. So yes, sincerity, but this is not confessional, right? This is a time to have to talk about the good parts and to make it entertaining, but also make them happy. And so, sincerity is fun, sincerity is important, but it has to be fun, and it can't be something that's awful.
But also, what I see a lot
producing.
too is people at weddings, if they're giving a toast, a best man speech or, bridesmaid speech, they think they really have to roast the person. And you just have to know what you're doing if you're going to roast the person, because that can go horribly wrong. And you've probably seen it go horribly wrong.
Well, I haven't seen it go horribly wrong.
What have you heard? What's a horror story you've heard of?
The worst horror stories I've heard of involve people disclosing things like past relationships, cocaine use, getting up there. And hands down, the worst was conveyed to me by a luxury wedding photographer. And she talked about how at one wedding, a very expensive wedding, the father of the groom thought it was the right time to disclose that he and the groom went to a brothel in South America.
No.
And yes.
Well, it is a bonding experience.
And that's where he met his bride.
Yeah.
Especially when you share the prostitute, according to the story. Wedding over. Wedding over. Right?
Who goes
Everybody yelling and crying. Yeah.
That's your question?
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm doing some research.
God.
You know what? I've read about the etiquette of this. It's fascinating. I really didn't, and I've got nowhere to go on this.
This is extreme. Look, this is an
Seniority.
extreme story, but. And most of the stories.
Can you imagine being at a
people do
wedding where
something
the groom's father says, "And then my son and I shared a prostitute."
Yeah.
my God.
But I love those moments. I prefer train wreck moments and moments where you cringe over a smooth wedding. I like it way more. If I
And
was
would you
there,
feel
I
the
would
same
bad
at your wedding?
That is more interesting than
had some
mediocre,
moments
right?
though.
But not at a wedding, and so it was. Yeah, I mean, most of the stories that are bad. I have one where like the groom's best man had everybody get ready and with their keys, and at some point in the speech he goes, "Jingle your keys if you've slept with the bride." Right, and so all the groomsmen like like stuff like that, but it's like
Crowd went
like
key
come
jangling
on.
crazy.
But even with vows, there's a viral one about where the bride talks about how much she loves her husband, and then the groom gets up and he goes, "I just want to smack that booty," and that's all he says.
Come on.
And
Well, wait, is that
So
a
you
bad
have-
thing or I mean?
Well, if she's pouring her
There's
heart
nothing
out
wrong
to
with
you,
that.
Yeah.
and then he responds, "I just want to smack that booty."
Yeah, he wants to smack that booty.
Yeah, but that's not okay.
But that's sincere.
That's a vow.
How was her booty?
And they're a very traditional couple. He was waiting to the wedding night to smack that booty.
you just want them balanced. You want both
Yes.
of them to say that, right? If one's saying love and the other one's saying booty, this is an imbalance we've got to solve.
Yes. That's a tragic
That's why
imbalance.
you need somebody to look over it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why we started vows and speeches. We're doing this thing, but it's all interview based. We do like an hour-long interview to drive it down to like 3 to 4 minutes of speeches or 2 to 3 minutes of vows.
So what
that
you're
kind of
doing
thing.
is you're meeting with them, you're finding out basic information, and then you're helping them write it. They participate in the process.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I interview them. I record it. So I try and get their, in politics, I couldn't write like myself. I had to write like the person I was representing. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm ghostwriting. And so I interview them. I'm asking questions like, hey, when you guys moved in together, what did you want to throw out that they wouldn't let you? Like what do they have an odd collection of?
His
Things
sex
like that.
robot.
And sex robots, yeah.
Why do you want to throw me out?
I have nowhere to go.
Please.
But that would make a fantastic vow, right? Then now you've got a personalized vow. Because otherwise
Sometimes
it's all
she'll
like, I
leave
love
town.
you,
You'll still need me. She goes to the grocery store, doesn't she?
You make love robotically.
Notice who's been cleaning the bathroom. It isn't her.
So you pull all that stuff together. You write about the robot. You throw that in. The crowd loves it, and especially the robot.
If my wife and I ever renew our vows, I'm doing 20 minutes on a sex robot.
She'd be worried if you didn't.
I know.
think
Yeah.
Do you have
She'd
them
be the
read?
one to hire me. Yeah. I'd have to figure out how to balance this out.
Do you have them read the speech, or do they memorize it usually?
I never encourage people to memorize it. It's you could sit in your room all day long trying to memorize something like this, but this is the first time they've read it in front of their friends and family.
Right.
They need something to reference. I want them to get fluent with it so they can look up and when you listen to somebody read something for the first time, there's a cadence that I'm sure you've heard where it's almost word by word. When somebody's read it enough times out loud, they've got some muscle memory, and now they can speak sentences.
Yeah.
And that's really where I want them to get to. But yeah, we do delivery coaching as part of it. There's no AI whatsoever. Except for the transcribing process when I interview them. That's the only time I ever use AI for this. But the writing itself is all me and them. And I'm using as much of their words and stories as possible. And like sometimes we'll write something that's specifically new, but it's only to accentuate the stories that they have.
All right. Well, Brian, I have a pet peeve.
Yeah.
I see now if I'm at weddings or occasions and people get up and speak, younger people primarily tend to read off of their phone. And I just don't love it. I would rather they have it on a piece of paper, and that makes me probably sound like an old man. But there's just something
I agree.
that feels very inauthentic.
Yeah.
You see the glowing screen. The minute they take their phone out and go, I just want to say a few words, it almost gives the impression that they used an app.
Or they just wrote it, right?
Or they just wrote it.
Some of these people have spent tens of thousands of dollars hiring photographers and videographers, right? And now you've got a shot that's like somebody took a flashlight and it's for Halloween, right? Like that ghoulish, up lighting. That's one thing. But then but all of the photographs will look like, hey, they're looking at their phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're on stage, but they're looking at their phone. It looks terrible. It's also hard to track. I mean, it's also something, if you're reading off of it, you'll lose your place very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
'cause it's
People
so
are always going,
narrow.
hold on a second. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
let
not
me
good.
scroll for a little while. That's great video. So it's very unnatural, and so there's basic stuff like that we advise them. But mainly it's just like you have people that are just good at math, or they're good at something else, and they're good at science. They're just not the best writers, or they're terrified of doing this publicly. And also some of it's just, they're just not funny. And you need a little bit of that humor. I've been watching you from the beginning. I actually was a big fan of not necessarily the news back in the day.
Oh, cool.
When I was, I think 2 or 3, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I know how to find like very mild humor in what they're saying, and just as an offset to the sentimentality. You can't have like the same tone for the same 3 minutes, otherwise it's going to be a very boring song.
I just think we all have that situation where we see something go horribly wrong. But mostly, I think the biggest crime in public speaking is when someone just keeps going and going and going.
It's length.
And you think it's ending, and then they go, oh, and another thing. And then you just feel disrespected. Like, time is precious. And when someone's up there going and going and going, you just want to throttle them.
Okay.
And there's people that have, you've stuck people at a table.
I want to throttle them.
You want to get violent.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
and I
kind
feel,
of
and that was
agree.
one of the motivating factors for starting this. I'm like you, I can't stand it, and you put us at a table with people we're supposed to like, right? We're supposed to be talking and laughing and whatever. You're asking us to be quiet for 4 speeches sometimes, maybe 5 if there's like a step parent. And if they don't stick to the timeline, we're in for like 40 minutes of people talking and not us not talking. And for people like me, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so you have to pay credence to that and give the audience the respect of like, yeah, I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to make it punchy and make it fun. And if you just hog the mic, you're not doing that.
I also think people should lie more.
Oh.
I think Norm Macdonald
Yes.
discovered the perfect formula because he would come on my show and celebrities are always trying to think of their funny story, and I went and I got the cake and it fell. And that's when Harry Hamlin said, and you're like, well, okay, great.
Wait, I want to hear that story.
I know, that sounds cool.
It's a really good story. But Norm Macdonald would come on the show and just tell old salesman jokes from like the 1920s that you could probably buy in the Sears catalog. And it was insane, but he would commit to them. And I would think, yeah, people should just say, I just want to tell a funny story about the bride. And then it's just the plot to some great comedy movie from the 1950s. But
I have retold the moth joke like 1,000 times. I mean, that joke, you're telling me he didn't learn that from a cabbie? I mean,
Well, he didn't know he was going to, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't supposed to do that segment. He was supposed to do one segment. And I, on the fly, said, let's do a second segment, Norman. He was like, what? And then he just had to make it up. And he just, I think he had maybe told that before, but he just went for it. And it's become this
Alexander
iconic...
Davidovich or whatever.
Yeah.
My son, Alexander.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're out there. This is going to help people immensely. And mostly you're helping their audience, because I want more and more people who are giving toasts at a wedding to get some advice before they do it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be sitting there, I don't want to get violent.
Yeah.
Like, people ask their friends and family to be officiants all the time, and it's one of the bigger trends in weddings where you don't hire an officiant, you hire a friend, you ask a friend to do it. But they don't know how to do it.
Nope.
Right? They don't know how to write an 8 to 10 minute narrative of a love story and make it beautiful and funny and keep it going. They don't have no guidance. So our whole job here is just to help people along through this process and make it fun for everybody, including the audience. But,
well, I'm glad you're doing it. It's been lovely chatting to you, Brian. But I want to make sure this doesn't go on too long. And I just got out on a big laugh. But Brian, take care. Thank you so much. And
hey, it's been a real pleasure. I love you guys, and I love you. We drove across country listening to you.
Oh my God!
Thank you, Sona and Matt. And
you're welcome.
It's been great.
I'm a national speech champion. I feel like I had to mention that at some point in this.
And
interview.
I've been married.
Yeah.
Have you officiated a wedding?
Yes, I have.
So
I have.
So
Incredible.
Conan.
Well,
All
there
three
you
of
go.
us
How'd
have.
you do?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, I crushed it.
The couple immediately broke up because of my speech.
How did I do?
I talked about
I
how the
officiated for
groom
one
and
of your friends.
Yeah, it was really great.
I did a great job, of course.
Okay. All right.
Well, Brian, go forth and continue your good works.